Yeah, welcome back to Full Throttle Moto. I'm your host, DJ San Marco, along with the boss, who is in the house after a successful trip to Europe. We're going to get all into it with the homegirl, Kayla Yakov. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good in the RV right now, but trying to get this thing done. Hopefully it works
Yeah,
and it doesn't cut out.
doing her business, headed off to Barber Motorsports Park, where she was pretty much dominating over the weekend, and it was very close to winning that race. And also David Yakov, Pop, is in the truck as well, driving, and I had the pleasure of getting to talk to Dave there and watch him wrench a little bit and get to see Kayla at Barber, and it was pretty dope, man. I really enjoyed that. I hadn't seen these guys in a while. So welcome back to Full Throttle Moto. And Kayla, man, oh my goodness. You know, like Jeff, some of your fans that are my friends are like, I want to hear about Europe. I want to hear impressions about Europe. So can you, before we go into anything related to MotoGP and MotoAmerica, can you talk about the experience in Europe and take us into what it's like to turn up in a foreign country the week before a race and just start breaking off practice sessions?
Yeah, it was really cool. So the Attack Yamaha guys, out here in America, did a great job. They knew that Blue Crew wanted to send an American out and to and so I talked to Tom from Attack and some of the main guys there, and they got me all set up to go out there. And we knew it was right after the Barber weekend. I believe the week after, the next 2 weekends after, I forget which one, but yeah, it was the same weekend that Jake Gagne was going out, so it kind of worked out good to have a few Americans in the paddock. Obviously with Garrett Gerloff already being there, but yeah, it was really cool. So we got in there probably 2 days early, and first night just kind of got acclimated to the timing and everything like that, and then the second day we go out to the track, and a day early actually, so everyone's still setting up, and yeah, it was really cool. We got to walk the track a little bit early, got to see kind of what was coming at us in the next few days, and it was really cool. Amazing track. Portimao is it's crazy. And I was talking to Gagne about it, I believe that day or the day after, and he was like, this place is like a big ridge and Barber combined, so those are my two favorite tracks, so I was really stoked to get into the weekend. And yeah, going into our media day, it was really cool seeing some of the people I saw last year while I was doing the Blue Crew European Cup. And yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Just overall, I was really pleased with everything. And going into the practice sessions, I just wanted to get out there, get to know the track again. Or not again, I should say that was actually my first time there. So get to learn the track in the 30-minute free practice session. And I was actually very surprised with how well that went, considering it was a new track for me. But then, we get into free practice. I'm only 0.8, I believe, off the first. I was sitting in 8th, I believe, which was really cool. I was really happy about that. And then we go into Super Pole, a 30-minute Super Pole session, and I believe I qualified 10th after some red flags and laps being canceled because of yellow flags. But it was really cool because last year my best qualifying in that class was 19th, so a bit of a step. And so I knew that the field's really close. Everyone was within a second. The top, I believe, 15 were within a second, so I knew the race was going to be a big pack. So with my Junior Cup experience, that's kind of what we did all season, so I kind of knew what I was expecting going into it. The only difference was I was riding with new people. So going into the first race, no expectations, just going out to have a lot of fun. That was the whole goal for the entire weekend, was just to go out and have a lot of fun. And yeah, we did that. It was an amazing weekend. A fourth in race one, a second in race two. Made some really good passes. I wish they showed more highlights because there were definitely some good moments in that race, but a lot of fun.
Was there any aspect of nerves when you were, first of all, you can't bring all your stuff. You're basically just bringing leathers and riding gear. Am I correct? That's all you're bringing?
Yeah, so like they supplied basically everything. So with that cup, you can almost show up with nothing and be ready for the weekend. But for me, we brought some of our gear and stuff, which actually was really beneficial because the gear that they provided actually didn't really fit me. So
Mm-hmm.
we had to get we had to bring my gear from last year, which I thought looked even cooler, which was nice, and it was really cool to have that same setup from last year. But yeah, I brought my helmet, I brought my leathers from the previous year, and I brought boots and gloves, everything like that. But they supplied that kind of stuff when we first got into the cup.
Is this because of your bicep workout you're doing with your dad, Dave, that you're just,
Yeah,
your bicep? Is that what it is?
yeah, my arms are too short, and because pumping that iron.
That's what's up, man. I gotta imagine your dad has he has a workout routine. Do you guys work out together at all?
Sometimes, not usually. I mean, it just depends. We might go to like the like when we're on the go, we might go to the gym at the same time, but our workouts are very different because obviously he's not working out to be a racer at this point.
That would be awesome to see you and Dave at the gym, man. That would be so cool. And also, it would be cool to have him see you get you some kind of trainer that's like torturing you and making you sweat and you're reaching for your towel. That would be kind of enjoyable. Just kidding. So you didn't have any. You show up, you get to the hotel in Portugal, and are you more nervous than you are when you turn up in the United States, or what did you feel like when when you're in the hotel the night that you got there?
I was honestly pretty calm. I mean, I knew going into it that we didn't really. The only thing I had to prove was that the American level was high, and I didn't really, expect much out of that. From last year, it was just kind of like going back and showing my progression, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I felt pretty confident going into the weekend. Not that I was gonna be anywhere near what I ended up being, but I was confident that I was gonna have a really good time and that we were going to enjoy it. And that's exactly what we did.
Did any of the guys approach you from your competitors from last year? Did any of those guys speak with you or anything?
There weren't many of the riders that I remember or that knew me from last year, because some of the riders had gone to different series or done the full series, and just not the super finale. But
Hmm.
we did have some guys from the year that the 2021 season of the European Cup that were front runners in the group. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them were fast ESBK riders, people from different national championships that were very, I guess you could say, very quick. I mean, a
Impressive.
lot of the
Hmm.
Europeans were really impressive and very, very, very fast and talented.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say hi to Bruce. Hey, Bruce. He's saying "Go Kayla" in the chat. We've got a couple people watching right now. So, hello, Bruce. Hello, everybody who's in the chat there viewing, and thank you for showing up. We'll as we get more for all you that are watching. As we get more consistent, we get more time with Kayla before she really gets down to the meat and potatoes of next season. We'll get some guests in here. You guys will see Kayla's interview skills, and we're going to tear it up, and we're going to have some fun doing it. So I had one. So obviously it was a tough time for Jake over there. Did you speak with him afterward? Did you guys have any conversations? And what did you see as the situation that Jake was in? And was there any interaction between you about that?
Yeah, I was pretty lucky that that a lot of that weekend I spent talking to a lot of the Superbike riders, which was really cool. A lot of them I remember from last year, and some of them remembered me, which was kind of nice to hear. But yeah, we raced on the Saturday, and then we don't race on Sunday. So our Sunday we just spent, watching and talking to a lot of the guys, and obviously I talked to Jake and Garrett a lot. And I knew that Jake had struggled a lot that weekend with the engine braking and not really working how it usually did, and it was throwing him off. And obviously on a superbike and at that level, you need everything to be absolutely perfect. So it
Perfect.
was a little bit of a difficult weekend for him, but he did a great job considering a lot of the struggles that he had, and obviously on a completely different tire that he had to get used to. But yeah, it was a difficult weekend for both Jake and Garrett. I think that they both rode really great for considering their circumstances.
Yeah, I would say so too. I thought that was a really good ride for having shown up on a Saturday, having to start racing the next Saturday. Everything's all new. I mean, he had been to the track, but and granted it was his team, but it's just very difficult to get in the groove of getting comfortable, like you said, the tires and everything that you said. So when some people were saying they thought he was going to finish sixth, I thought that was really aggressive. I thought top 10 would be a win for him in that, from that standpoint, just because of the competition he was up against and the pace and all that. But I thought he did amazing considering all that. I think he did well considering that.
I think that Jake has the potential to be in the top six. I definitely believe that. But just considering the fact that the American team comes over as a completely privateer team, not having any data, well, barely any data from the track. You're getting data from a factory team, but that's a completely different bike and completely different setup riders. The list goes on. I mean, there's just not a lot to go off of, and just considering the fact that it is a privateer team, it's so difficult to be that close to the front, and you can visibly see the differences between factory and someone like Jake. So it was definitely I would say difficult for Jake to go out there and to be, I guess, put under the pressure of having all these people with these high expectations. But I feel like people weren't really realistic, considering, like I said, it's not like he's on a factory ride and going over there to show off how great this bike is compared to factory superbike teams that have been there for however many years.
Absolutely, and it looked like comfort too. He wasn't sort of didn't look like he was sort of whipping the bike around like he would on tracks that he really knows. I don't know if that is something that you saw when you were watching him ride, and maybe it was just the engine braking, but usually the way that he looks so. See, again, when you're a fan like me, that's all These are the esoteric things we can talk about because we don't actually know what it feels like you do. You know what I mean? And he didn't look as comfortable and in command of the motorcycle the way that, when I was watching Top Rack and some of those guys in that race, I was like, that's what Jake looks like on the U.S. tracks.
Yeah. No, they had a lot of issues. Obviously the engine braking on a superbike is one of the most important things. Mm-hmm. And they had a lot of issues entering the corner, and it was just really messing up Jake's lines and everything like that. It was just very hard for him to manage. Even in free practice sessions, it was just difficult for him to even ride the bike the way he wanted it to, or the way he wanted to. And it was just difficult. And some of the stuff he was describing to me is just like it's very, very difficult to work around it. And like I said, considering all things, I mean, that he just rode really great.
I agree. And also this is going to sort of transition us right into my next thing I wanted to talk to you about, Kayla, is to talk about next season in Superbike. Cam Beaubier returns on BMW. So I want to ask you, first of all, what do you think about Cam coming back, but on a Beamer versus Jake on that incredible attack performance Yamaha that just has every track in the United States, every track on there, the schedule just dialed in?
This change is really good for Cam. I know I've heard he's a homesick guy, and he likes to go to the track and then come back home. So I think he'll really enjoy staying here in the States again. But besides all of that, I think that it's going to be a very difficult transition for him, especially going from, he was on that attack Yamaha 3 years ago now, and the guy to beat. And now to come back after riding Moto2 for 2 years and also a completely different manufacturer, it's going to be a very difficult change. And I feel like it's going to be one that might take some time. But I definitely expect to see honestly earlier than a lot of people would think, but he'll be a really fast guy. They just need to get tested on that thing early so that he can get acclimated to the bike.
Okay, so so it's going to be, are you thinking like 4 or 5 races, and then he'll start to get in the groove after about 4 or 5 races, you think?
It all depends on the amount of testing we can get.
Right.
I mean, at least their season is ending now, which is going to give them some time to come back here and get some testing in. Where they head out to, I believe, their first run in Road Atlanta. So, with the MotoAmerica schedule changes, so he'll have some time to work on that and work with his teammates. I'm not 100% sure who his teammates will be on the factory Superbike or on the actual Superbike team.
Right.
But he'll also time to work with the team, work with the guys. It's, you have to think it's a completely different crew. There's just so many factors that play into this move. So it's going to be definitely really difficult, but I know Cam, and I think he can definitely be the guy to possibly get some wins next season.
Well, and there's 2 things, Kayla. Well, I think Corey Alexander, your dad may be able to confirm this. I think Corey Alexander is going to be his teammate, A, and B, that PJ Jacobsen was really starting to make some noise on that bike at the end of the year. They had some nice arrows, so it seemed like BMW was getting it figured out toward the end of the year. So I think that's going to be helpful.
Yeah, they definitely have a very strong bike. They got the thing handling better and better every weekend, and even have the technical tracks, which is great and what they needed. Because I know that at Road America they had a stronger weekend. With Hector Barber getting on the podium,
right,
and the BMW really showing its top speed, which was great to see. But they struggled at the tracks where it became really tight and like Ridge. And towards the end of the season, they got better and better at figuring the bike out at those tracks. So, I think PJ played a great role in developing that motorcycle. And the amount of time he had on that thing, I think it made a huge difference throughout the team. He was able to give that good feedback. But, yeah, it's either way, I think Cam's going to the right place. And he'll do good wherever he goes.
No doubt, man. The guy's got serious talent. Okay, I have to ask about your friend, Kayla from Italy, Danilo. Is he going to come back and ride his Superbike?
We'll see. I think so. So I asked him at the end of last season, and he said it's a lot to think about. But I have a feeling he'll either come back here or try to get a seat in World Superbike. The only thing about World Superbike is there are not many seats available.
Right.
So I know that if he were to go over to World Superbike, he'd want a factory seat or at least a seat that's established. Because the only thing about going over there is the same thing with Jake. If you're not on that established team, it's very difficult to do well. And that's why we always see your factory Yamaha, factory Ducati, and factory Kawasaki always 1, 2, 3. And that's primarily the reason. Is those are the best machines to have. So he's on the best one of the best rides in America, and if he really wanted to win that championship, I think he could definitely do it next year if he has a clean season and is able to figure out some of the issues and work on some of the issues that they had during the season. But I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him back in the MotoAmerica paddock. I think that with all of the drama, I think he really enjoyed it and he enjoyed to stay here. So it would be cool to see him back.
Oh my God, man! We're looking at a championship with Jake, Cameron, Matthew, and Danilo. That's sick, man. That would be really sick. I would really
crazy.
like that.
It's a big lineup, so
that would be strong.
Really cool.
The thing that, and I'll say this because it may take you a while before you're able to get Danilo to come on the show, and we can ask him about this. But to me, it looked like he didn't look like he was very confident in the team to be able to set the bike up to his liking. That was my interpretation of what I saw. All right, we'll just let that one go. I'll let that one go, Kayla. Let's move on. Go ahead. Okay, I won't grill you
because the audio here is a little bit patchy.
That's all right. It's better. I'll tell you this one. I'll say what I was going to tell you offline when we're not online. But one of the things about World Superbike that I wanted to get your take on, Kayla, is this news that they're looking like they may somehow restrict the Ducati of Alvaro Bautista. And they're looking at ways to, I mean, we'll get into Honda and what they're going to do for Honda. But it kind of bothers us, I think, as Americans, but I want to get your take on it because you're a professional. If they do somehow restrict the Ducati of Alvaro Bautista or any rider like they've done to Jonathan Rea in the past, what are your thoughts about that? Have you heard about it? Have you thought about it? What's your thoughts? Uh-oh. Oh, let me see if I get... Kayla, I got you back. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
You missed a brilliantly formulated question. I'm just kidding.
Okay. You have to do it again now. I have to do it again because I can't hear anything.
It's all good, Kayla. We're doing really well. For you being on the road, we're doing incredibly well as far as sound and not being choppy. This is great. What I was asking you is there's news that came out that World Superbike is looking at the ways to make the grid a little bit more competitive, and they're looking at ways to restrict the Ducati of Alvaro Bautista. And I was really dismayed. Apparently they had done that to Jonathan Rea, where they had taken revs away from his Kawasaki a few years back or something. And I just wanted to get your take on that. I think as Americans it bothers us, but you're a professional. I'd like to hear your take on the notion that they might restrict Alvaro Bautista and his Ducati.
I would totally agree with that. I mean, that's something that I feel like should be taken seriously, and something that should be changed. I got the privilege to go out and talk to some of the Kawasaki guys, and they were showing me around their whole team facilities, and we were just talking about different things that are done in the World Superbike paddock to try to make these bikes legal. And it's just looking at statistically, the Ducati is just far faster than anything else on the grid, and it's just it is visibly that you can see it visibly. I mean, it's just you watch Portimao and me there on the wall, watching Girl Off, watching Top Rack, watching Jake, and specifically in some of the Superbike races with Top Rack and Bautista going back and forth. Now, Top Rack was able to get gaps up to 0.4 of a second, 0.3 of a second going into the last corner. If you see him get absolutely blown by on the front straightaway, it's insane. And
yes,
Bautista will make comments like, well, you picked the wrong manufacturer. that's not really the issue. It's just your manufacturer is far faster than anyone else's, and it's on the limit of the restrictions made for World Superbike. So and that's something that no other manufacturer can achieve. And while it is in the rules, it's just you can't have a bike that is just that much faster, and it just makes the racing unfair. And I think that Johnny and Top Rack have done a really good job to at least make the championship competitive, because I think if they weren't in those seats, it wouldn't be very competitive, and Bautista would run away with it because no one can compete with the bike that is under him. So I think there has to be something done next year to restrict that bike, because if not, we're just going to have the same championship where you have these guys riding insanely fast and not able to beat a bike that is just so much faster than theirs on a straightaway. So I'd like to see something happen. That's just my take on it.
This is why I love talking to you, Kayla, because I learned so much. Because I've been talking to some fans, and these guys were not in favor of it, but we didn't see what you saw. What you now I see what you see, and
yeah. So I can kind of basically what I saw and what I was listening to. I forget exactly the guy that I was talking to, but he's one of the Kawasaki representatives, and we were talking about the restrictions for the pricing of each machine. And so there's a restriction on what you can buy it at, what each bike you can buy each bike at. Ducati is at that maximum. Okay, all the Kawasaki is like I forget, it was a crazy number lower, and so was the Yamaha, because there is no way to make a bike that is that fast affordable, and not only affordable but also just practical. And so Ducati is on that limit of just having the fastest bike that you have to charge that amount of money, because the amount that's put into the bike is insane. So
right.
It's just, we were talking about that and how much support Ducati will get from the series and stuff like that, and it's something that I think needs to be restricted, and it's not fair to riders like Top Rack and Johnny, Rinaldi. Well, Rinaldi's on the Ducati, but I feel like Rinaldi's not getting the same package, honestly.
Right, but, right. He's getting the hand-me-downs.
Yeah, but the other manufacturers need to get more support, and either that or they need to restrict the Ducati, because I wouldn't want to see a championship go the same way, because people keep saying, well, Ducati has its weaknesses, but Ducati's weaknesses are still overpowered by its strengths, and you can't deny that, because you watch, it's so hard to go off the speed traps because you can see it in the speed traps, but when you're there or you're really paying attention to the video, you can just see how quickly this bike can blow by another Superbike, which shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, and I saw it. And Top Rat
Yeah.
kept passing him, and then he was out riding him, and then he was getting passed on the straightaway, and that's not fun. So
Yeah, well, it's like a 400 on a track day riding against a slower 600. You're gonna get blown by in the straightaways, and but get past in the corners. This is how it works.
or it's like Fabio versus Pecco. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's same thing.
Yeah.
No, but the Pecco actually, he can, I think, at least in MotoGP now, catch up a little bit on Ducati's progress, which is good to see. And with that, Fabio has a new engine working this weekend for Yamaha, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm not going. Let me just say this, Kayla. I'm not going to hold my breath about that engine next year, but I'm glad I'm glad everybody's excited about it. But I'll reserve my enthusiasm I'll curb my enthusiasm until I see next year how he does when he's in the straightaway with the Ducatis. I also want to bolster your point because our friend Simon Patterson, who is never afraid to give his opinion. This was probably going back like 2 or 3 months ago, and he was talking about World Superbike, and he said, talking about Alvaro Bautista, and basically saying, yeah, he goes, Ducati is basically turned up with a MotoGP bike in the World Superbike paddock.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. I mean, it's just, and the thing is, the amount of effort that Yamaha and Kawasaki simply have to put into those bikes compared to the Ducatis to get it, at least to be competitive, is insane.
Ridiculous,
and
right?
Obviously, Ducati's putting in as much effort as they can, but it's just it's crazy to walk into both of those garages and see the absolute difference in everyone and how confident Ducati is that they have that bike under them, and see everyone else trying to basically scramble to make up that time.
So, for the audience out there, you want to know why you want to turn into Full Throttle Moto, tune in rather. The reason you want to tune in is because you're going to get insight like that from Kayla that you're not going to get from somebody who's just sitting in the commentary booth that's never raced. But you're going to get somebody who's ridden the bikes, understands racing, has been in the paddock, and has been around basically some of the best riders in the world when she's not riding. So, really good insight, Kayla. Let's move over to so I have this Diogo Moreira question. I've been dying to ask you about Moto 3, so I've got to ask you this because and I think I texted you this question on text message, but this guy in Moto 3, Diogo, the Brazilian kid, I think he's riding number 10. And he'll get up front, and he is consistently, in the first 5 laps of the race, finds himself either leading in the top 3 or 4, and then invariably he ends up, 10 or 12. What is happening when fans like me see that? What is happening with that rider?
I think so. I've been following him for a really long time, and excellent rider. Rookie season in Moto 3, and he's doing a really great job. He tends to, depending on the weekend, he tends to qualify around. It can be, it really can vary. From some weekends it's 5th, some weekends it's 3rd, some weekends it's 15th. So he's very consistent within that range, and he doesn't like to fall out top 10 usually. And I think he's just very, very strong in the first few laps. But the thing that the rookies don't necessarily get as quickly as obviously the veterans of the class is the last few laps are just very intense. And you can see that from Guerrero, or you can see that from Foggia, that you may be in first, but on the last lap you end up second. It's just how that works and how aggressive they are, and how difficult it is to make a pass to get to the front of that group because everyone else is trying to do the same thing. So it all depends on placement, and I think that that's something that he's learning as he keeps racing with these guys weekend after weekend. So I believe that next year he's going to be one of the fastest guys out there. I definitely expect some podiums out of him, and just an overall talented rider. But from my perspective, I think that he's very strong in the opening laps, which is a very good thing. He's aggressive and he gets to the front, which is always something that you want to do, especially when you're pack racing like they always do in Moto3. And I think that placement-wise, it's just the last few laps are very difficult.
I'll tell you what, and he's sitting in number 8 right now going into this weekend. So yeah, everything you say is just, yeah, man. And now it kind of makes sense. It's really experience. He's a rookie, but what you're seeing you really like. And I want to tell you this, Kayla, one of my secret dreams is to see you I know you're not trying to get into Moto3, but to see you battling with like those top 4 or 5 guys, seeing you up there with Guevara and Sasaki and Anchu and all those guys. I would love to see you for one race, like just fighting with those guys.
Yeah, that would be cool. It would definitely be, that would be very difficult. I mean, those guys are extremely fast. But yeah, I mean, that would be something that would definitely be a really cool thing.
Oh, wild card Kayla. Let her get up in there and fight with these guys. That would be sick. All right. So yeah, secret dream time over. Let's go to MotoGP this weekend. So what we're looking at, Kayla, is Fabio is 23 points behind Pecco. The only way he can get there is if Pecco does not finish ostensibly or is out of point scoring in total, and Fabio wins. He's got 7 other bikes on the grid that are probably going to be trying to obstruct Fabio as best they can. What say you? I lost Kayla. So Kayla's not saying anything right now. She kind of knows. I mean, you guys can get a sense of how I feel about it, but we got to hear from the boss and see what she thinks. With 8 bikes on the grid. Now granted, she's back. Granted, Franco Morbidelli's been doing very well, been very aggressive lately. Let's see, she's almost back. Here she. Yeah, the boss is back.
Sorry about that. It keeps disconnecting. We're getting into these patchy areas of Tennessee now, so it's cutting in.
You're doing amazing. We are doing for you being on a cellular service on StreamYard. This is amazing. Kayla, so without further ado, just in case we don't lose you, because we'll get through these first 3 and then we'll get you out of here so you can watch Dad drive and just keep an eye on Dave there. But so what do you see with Fabio? He's 23 points behind. Pecco would have to finish out of the points or DNF. What's your take on this championship?
It's a repeat of 2006.
Okay.
We basically have a Nicky Hayden, Valentino Rossi situation, and for Pecco, it's all of the pressure's on him. Fabio, he's already accomplished what he's wanted to do in his career, but I believe obviously he wants more, and everyone wants more especially after you get the first one. You definitely want more, but he has nothing to lose this weekend. He's the one that's down on points, and all he needs to do is go out there and do what he's done for really the beginning of the season. Do exactly what he did and everything, and win the race. Pecco, it's his race to lose. So I think Pecco will play it smart, and honestly, I see the same thing as what Cody Wyman did in the last race in Junior Cup. He didn't need to go out there and win. He had to go out there and finish right where he did. And that's exactly what I think Pecco's going to do. And that's all he needs to do. Because he's proven where he's been all season and proven that he can fight back. So it's his championship to lose. I think that, honestly, Pecco has obviously the best chances to win this thing. And, you know, it's going to be a lot of pressure, but I think he can lose it.
Yeah, I agree. I can't imagine. I mean, I could have Marco Bezzecchi right behind him. I could have Luca Marini in front of him. Jorge Martin and Enea Bastianini out battling for first P1, and those guys just basically playing valet to Pecco Bagnaia and making sure that he's nice and comfortable there in like 8th spot. So I have to agree with you, Kayla, on that one. Real quickly, before we move to Moto 2, I had you and I shared a couple of text messages on this. Pecco for next year with Enea Bastianini, the Beast, who I love. I love the Beast because he just, he is just so coy in the way he goes about his business. Does he make Pecco a better rider, or would Pecco have been a better rider had Jack stayed?
I think that Bastianini is going to push Pecco. If Bastianini can get a hold of this bike, it's even though it's the same manufacturer, you're going to a different bike. It's the factory team, so you're going to have the best support available. So as long as he gets, I guess you could say, as long as he adapts to that group well, and that team, the people behind him, he's going to have a very strong fight, and going to put the pressure on Pecco next year, and ultimately that's going to make Pecco a better rider. I think that's definitely a possibility. I definitely think that Jack has been able to do that a few times this year. Jack hasn't had the best luck, but the times that he was there, he was able to push Pecco. And obviously they're good buddies, but I think it'll be really interesting next year to see it Bastianini on that factory ride. I definitely think he's one of the most talented riders in that field.
Who wins more races next year?
Between the two. See, I mean, it all depends on how well he can get acclimated to that bike. I would say if he can get that thing where he wants it to be, I would say Bastianini.
I have to say too. I have to say if he's the first one to win a race from Ducati, I think that could set Pecco back mentally for a couple of races. If he sees Gigi Dall'Igna and Davide Tardazzi and all those guys hugging Bastianini, he's gonna be like, "Damn it!" So anyway,
they're both fighters, and they're both able to put on a good show. So I think next season it'll be cool to watch. And with the two really, really fast riders like that, I think that will be a bit of a powerhouse. And Ducati has a good team lined up for next year.
They totally do, man. And I guarantee seeing Pecco's sister in the paddock there, I have a feeling she's not going to be sharing pasta recipes with Bastianini. That's all I got to say.
Maybe she will. It's more weight. More weight to the bike.
What's that?
I said maybe she will. It's more weight to the bike.
Yeah, she's going to make sure he's not eating gluten-free.
Yeah.
Good point, Kayla. Yeah, she'll be bringing him takeout chicken parmesan into the paddock and handing it to Bastianini. Put some weight on him. Because I'll tell you what, man, not for nothing, that dude has a six-pack, man. Bastianini. For real. He has a six-pack. Anyway, so good point. Great analysis is what you guys are going to get from Kayla. So in the Moto 2 race, we have Augusto Fernandez, who rode amazing, is cooled off a little in the last couple of races. Guys have really gone after it, and he's at 251.5 points. Iagura is 242 points, and Aaron Canet is basically out of it. He basically rode himself out of it in the last few races, and Celestino Vietti crashed himself out of it, and Tony Arbolino got better as the season went on, as did Jake Dixon. Alonso Lopez was absolutely amazing coming into the series, a few races in and riding that other Boscoscura chassis. So what do you think? What do you think about that Moto2 race, Kayla? What's going through your mind there?
I mean, for this weekend, it's a lot of guys home race. You see that whole Spanish fleet going out and getting their custom helmets for this weekend. But I think honestly, if it's Guru put himself in a really bad spot after the last race.
The crash, yeah.
It was, from my standpoint, I knew it was going to happen. The corner before, I saw him setting it up, and I knew right there he was going to touch the front. And
you did?
Yeah, I called it, and because I knew he was going to make a lunge, and I knew he was going to be there because he was strong there all race, and he came in with way too much entry speed, considering that he did a full race distance on those tires, and just came in way too fast, trail breaking in, and just took the front, and I knew it was going to happen. And it's just very unfortunate because that was basically, he was in a really good spot to be closer through the championship into this last round and have a better chance at clinching that championship. But for Augusto, he was probably pretty glad to see that and have a little bit of a buffer going into the last race weekend.
Definitely, and he's been on rails for so many of the races. To ride as many laps as he did out in front and not make a mistake over the course of several races was very impressive.
Definitely.
Yeah, a very, very impressive rider. Pedro, what do you see for Pedro coming back from that femur? Are you surprised at how well he's doing? And what are you thinking about? Like, I mean, obviously we're gonna just talk about real quick next season for Pedro. What is that? What are you thinking on that?
Well, he's getting his number 37 back, so he might be a little bit quicker with a good number behind him. But yeah, I think he has a lot of potential, and he had a lot of pressure going into the season because a lot of people were expecting things of him that were just really difficult for someone going from a Moto3 bike to a Moto2 bike to achieve. And I mean, he's dealt with that really well, and I think for a rookie, he's done a really good job. I think for Pedro, the biggest thing is to end off the year on a good note, whether that's a podium, a top 5, somewhere around that. It would be really good for him. But yeah, I think going into next season, he's going to be one of the guys to beat. He's proven that he can command races and he can be there at the end of the race. And obviously one of the most aggressive guys out there. So we'll see how it goes. I think that he can definitely make big strides next year and do really well.
Yeah, and Fernandez is moving up to MotoGP, and it looks like it's going to be the young gun Spaniards. I think Lopez will be there. He rode incredibly this year, and obviously Pedro will be there. Joe Roberts may have an evolution, as they say in jiu-jitsu, and he's sitting at sitting at 9th right now. Jake Dixon, it's gonna be an amazing year in Moto2, man. Aldeguer, Celestino Vietti, if he can trim down some of those mistakes, I think it's going to be an amazing year in Moto2 next year, really. So
yeah, definitely some good racing.
Moto3
coming in too.
What's that?
And you have Guevara.
Ethan Guevara. I know he's he's a monster. He's moving up. So that's another one. Yeah, I forgot all about him, the champion from Moto3. So that one's already been decided. I guess there's not much to talk about. It's just going to be a whole lot of fighting, unless you have some specific thoughts about Moto3, which nobody on planet Earth can accurately pick. Oh, we have a question from one of the fans right here for you, Kayla. Who's your favorite? Let me put it up on the screen. This is from Misena, I believe. Misena is this person's name. And correct me, Misena, if I'm saying it incorrectly. Who's your favorite racers, Kayla? F1, MotoGP, etc. Whose style do you think you resemble the most?
So, in F1, I really like Max Verstappen. I think he has a really good story and is one of the most talented guys out there. Recently, I haven't been watching too much F1. I mean, I watched a few races back, but it's with all the things going on in my program, it's been difficult to follow that. But MotoGP, I'm a big Marquez fan. Definitely, probably Mark Marquez would be my favorite rider there. I'd probably say I like all of the guys. I think they're all really cool. I like Marquez, Rins, Fabio, Pecco. I mean, to me, all of them are just extremely talented and really good. They seem like really good people and very fast. So I respect all of them. Style-wise, that one's a bit difficult because my style has changed quite a bit, and I think it's going to look a little bit different next year too. Once I get onto a more race style bike, but based off of what I've had on my 400, I'd probably say I'd say my style is more centered now. Before getting on the 400, there's a lot more, as you can say from the game, the MotoGP games, you get the elbows to the ground style, more like Marquez or people like that. I think that my style is a lot like Fabio's, where I get my shoulders out a lot more and hang off the bike a lot. I think in the last few races, once I was able to get the bike where I wanted it to be again, it's a lot like Pecco's style. I mean, it depends. And I think, like I said, my style's definitely going to look a little bit different next year.
Thank you for that question, Miss Senna. Hopefully we'll see you again next time and bring another question, and we'll get Kayla to answer it. So we're kind of just getting going with this thing, and be happy to have you and answer a question. I wanted to ask one that I think the audience might also want to hear you, and this will be my last question, Kayla. You had mentioned that when you went to Circuit of the Americas and you watched MotoGP, and you said you were surprised at how they turned the bike, or it was the first time you'd seen GP in person, and you said there was something interesting about the style of riding. Could you expound upon that?
It was, there's just a lot that you have to do. I think the biggest thing for me is I could see how rideable the bikes are and how the teams make it to each rider so that the bike is as rideable as possible. You see them get out of shape, but it's always you're out of control but in control. And that's the best way to have it. The MotoGP bikes are a completely different animal compared to anything else. So it's very hard to compare them to anything. But it was really cool to see kind of how they were reacting to the track compared to the Moto2 guys and the Moto3 guys. Obviously, they're all different displacements and things like that. But it was just very, very unique. And to see the different manufacturers, how each one was doing things differently, whether it was braking or mid-corner or releasing the lever or just getting on the gas, exiting the corner. Everything was just slightly different. You could see how each bike had to be ridden. But it was really cool.
Can I tell you my other secret dream is to see you, Kayla, putting in some laps on a GP bike?
That would definitely be a bucket list for me.
I would love to see you have a camera out there and see you putting on the, because MotoGP has like a zillion cameras around the track. They can basically follow you the whole way, Yeah. I would love to see you putting in laps on one of those bikes, man. That would just be incredible. I would love it. So
yeah, I'd love to. Really
bucket. Well, someday you will. Kayla, that's all I got for tonight. We've got some serious big footing to do tomorrow down here in Ocala. So I got to get my gear together and get ready. So
All right.
it's been fun, man.
Yeah, it's cool. And to anyone tuning into this, we got a new updated MotoAmerica schedule. So we have the Daytona 200 in March, I believe. Road Atlanta in April. And Barber is now in May, replacing VIR. Then we go to MotoAmerica in early June or end of May, early June. But I won't be at that one. That is not the Queen's Cup round. Then you go to Ridge at the end of June, and I will be there. Laguna at the beginning of July. Then we have Brainerd again, and then I will not be at Brainerd because that is not the Queen's Cup round. And then we go to Pittsburgh in August, and then New Jersey in September. But there's COTA in between Pittsburgh and Jersey, but that one is not a Queen's Cup round as well. So a really cool schedule for MotoAmerica next year. Some of the classes are definitely a little bit different, so there'll definitely be some changes next year. It'll make some fun racing.
I'm really looking forward to it, man. Twins Cup, look out, baby, because Kayla's coming. So look out. And the other thing, what else was I going to say? It's going to be an amazing season. I expect to, if I'm breathing, I expect to be at COTA for that weekend to watch you race, to watch the rest of the MotoAmerica guys and gals, and then watch MotoGP. So, assuming I'm still breathing in April 14th, I will be there. All right?
Awesome.
All right. So there's Kayla. It's at Kayla_Yakov on IG. And it is at Kayla Yakov 31 on Twitter. And, of course, she's active posting updates on her Facebook page where you can see the news of who she's going to be riding with next year. So make sure you check that. The name of our show and our show on Twitter is at First Gas Last Break. And it's Kayla, Yakov, and DJ. So for Kayla, this is DJ saying peace out, one love. We'll see you down the road. And as always, we're wondering what's up around the bend.
See ya.
See you, buddy.